Hi guys, welcome to S.O.S.H, Simple Office Solutions Hub. On my channel, I'll be sharing tutorials on how to use Microsoft Office products to simplify your day-to-day activities. In today's tutorial, I'll be taking you through the advantages and features of Excel Power Query. The scope of the tutorial is what is a Power Query, quick walk through the data used for the tutorial, and a few data transformation tools. What is a Power Query? So Power Query is a transformation and a data preparation engine. You can automate data gathering, you can transform your data, and you can combine data. The biggest advantage of it is it reduces the preparation time for your reports. Just to illustrate that, in my previous tutorial, if you have not seen it, please go through the list and check it out. I had a variable data path. In that folder path, there were 6 reports loaded or consolidated to one Excel file. So if I have another folder which has more months of data, so it's just a matter of updating the link and just refreshing it. And once you click refresh, all your tables get updated with the additional months of data. So it's that easy to update your reports through Power Queries. So that's how it reduces your preparation time. If I do a quick walk through the existing data, so we have a bunch of months sales which are available in this folder path. Before I get to the structure of the data or the details of the data, if you're wondering why I have a variable path for my source, it's because when I create my reports, it's meant to be used by my colleagues. If I have a static address fixed based on this, when they use it on their computers, they would have to go into the query and change this path every single time. So that's why I maintain a variable. So if you just look at my path at the moment, it's Google Drive and YouTube S.O.S.H, tutorials, and T0001. If they want to use it without the variable path, they would have to create a directory as follows, which is cumbersome. So the simple workaround is to set a variable path. So getting back to the data structure, so every file has a set of data which has a date, item, and a sales value. I combined a static table called the table ref, which has a name assigned to each item. I combined that and I got this view of data of every single Excel file into one table. Thereafter, in a tutorial 2, we created a summary table. So one thing to point out, in this summary table, the months are not in order. So in this tutorial, I will be using the following data transformation tools and getting the months into order. So for this query derives this result. So since I want to correct this view, I would make the corrections into that query without recreating an entirely new query. So to walk you through the steps what are currently available, the source is equal to data. It's basically a reference to the initial data that we had. And then I have gone and inserted a month, then I grouped it, then I pivoted it. By doing so, the months don't get sorted out. So to do that, I would go a few steps up, click on date, and add the month number by clicking on month here and insert. So now for April, we get month 4, and so on for the rest of the data. So once I group it, you notice that this particular column goes missing. I have to add the month into the grouping. So once it's grouped, it will have the column of month. The purpose of grouping is, if I just take you back, you get cherries. If I just select cherry apples, for example, you get 2 transactions of apples being sold. I want to bring this into one line. So by grouping it, you get one line of apple. Yeah, for April. And likewise for other months, it's been sold. I'm just going to remove the filter off because I don't need it. And then I click on pivot. Now because I added month, it is pivoting in a incorrect manner to what we want. So before I pivot, right, I want to sort the sequence. So I will click and say sort ascending. So I get January 1st and February, March, the correct order of months. Then I would remove it. And then I will go to the step of pivoting. And now my table is correct. January, February, March, April, May, June, and all the months are in the correct order. So I'll just expand that out. And your table now is in the correct order. So you have a choice. If you want to add the month number and month name, that can be done. So I would do that to show you the function of merge. I'll go back to the data summary. I have inserted month name and month. I would want to merge these two. So to merge them, I would select month first and then month name so that the number comes in front of the name. I will go to add and I would click on merge column, insert. I would select a specific custom separation, which is a dot and a space. I'll leave it as merged. And now I have a column with my month number and the name. When I click on the next step group, since I've not included it in the grouping, it will not show here. So I'll go back to my gear, say click on add grouping and select merge and say OK. Now I sort it to get the sequence. I removed previously was the month. I would need to remove month name as well because I only want to show the merged column. So right click and say remove, insert that step, and I go to pivot. Now the pivot is making showing an error saying that it can't find month name. The reason for that is we removed it. Now we have to change this to merged. So merged has to be replaced here. Month name. And remove it here as well. And there you have your table with the month number and the month name. Going back to the tutorial, we have covered the first part of pivoting and insert, grouping, sort and merge. Next is to extract. So the objective of trying to do this is to see if there is any data errors. So if you look at the data, initially what we have a source name, a file name which has the sales and the particular month, the date of transaction, the item and sales, and the relevant item name. So what we want to see is if in the April file there is only April transactions. So to do that, I will reference the table, I would extract the month name between the underscore and spot or dot, which you would like to call it. To do that, I would go to add column, extract, and I would select between delimiters. So the two delimiters is underscore and spot. When I say OK, I get the April part. Next is to add the month name, which is shown before. You go to date, month, and select name of month. But now you have the full name while it says the short name. So we had to extract from this column the first three letters. To that, I will go and select extract first characters and select 3. Now I want to compare text between delimiters and first characters. If they are equal, I'll say OK. If not, I'll mark as check. To do that, I will go to add columns, select custom column and name it data check, and have a command saying if delimit is equal to first characters, then OK, else check. Close that. I'll just make it capital O and say OK. Now I have a result column and I want to see if what are my data errors. So this is the way I filter it out. I'll filter it out by clicking on the small drop down and then keeping check only and saying OK. I have 4 records which are wrong. So what it's saying is the February file has 2 March transactions, the November file has 2 December transactions. What I need to do now is to get rid of this, is go to the source files and correct my source files. For now, I'll just rename the query name as data check, error check, and I go to home, close and load. So at the moment it's still under connection, so I want to load it to a table. I'll click on table and I select new worksheet and say load, and here are my data errors. The next is to show a custom formula. So there are multiple ways of doing this error check. I have so far done is a sequence of adding columns and then verifying. If I want to simplify this, I can combine these steps into one, the next 4 steps. To do that, I will take sections of each code and combine into one. To do that, I'll just open a Word document. So my first my second step was to extract the text between the delimiters. So this is the part which I need to copy. The next one is the month of name, so it's given by that. You can easily identify it where the command is after each, the word each after that is the command, and it specifies what type of data it is. So it's mentioning a text type. So I copy that section, take it to my Word, and the third part is take the first 3 characters from month name, paste them there as well, and finally is the formula. So after each, I don't need the bracket, I just need that, I paste. Now it's a matter of replacing these codes by this. So the first one is to extract the month name. Then first characters was indicated. I'm going to put it in here because I used the month name to get the first characters. So the month name was given to me by that command. Just want to properly save it here, copy paste it, delete that, and then I replace first 3 characters by that. Now it's just a matter of checking if it works properly. So I'm just going to clean it a bit. I'm going to add a new column. Just paste in the form that we created. There is no syntax errors, and say OK. And there you got one simple command to check your errors. So I can actually go ahead and just delete all of these because I won't need them. So if I go just delete this one, delete this one, delete this, delete this. Now my query is just 3 steps. The filter is asking for data check, so let me just rename this column to data check and custom. And there you go. You reduced your query from 6 steps to 3 steps, which is more efficient. And that's how we use a custom formula. I'll take you quickly through the advanced editor just to explain how the query code looks like and how you could read it. Just a high level things to show that the same codes can be taken from here as well. So it shows you 3 steps, it's showing you 3 steps here. So it's a pattern towards how the code is, simply putting it to you. So the first is saying let source be data, which is my reference to the initial table which I showed you early on, and it's saying add a custom column, and in here it gives that form function which I put together in my Word. It's given after each. What you should note is each step refers to the previous step. So you have a name for your step. It says table at column. It refers to the previous step, which is source, and then it gives a name for the new column, and in each of those rows do this action. Then when it comes to filter, it's saying table selected rows, and added custom one is the reference to the previous step, and to each row it's saying look at the data check column, which is this, and select check. And finally it will end saying in the last step, which is filtered rows. Also make note the last step will not have a comma, while every other step above would have a comma ending. So if you put a comma accidentally here, it will just throw you a error. So just make sure that you don't have that. So that's just a high level view of advanced editor. It's just to show you that you can take the code from there as well. Just keep it, we don't have to change. Going back to the tutorial, the last one to show for this tutorial is adding a text.Combine with grouping feature. Say I want to combine all these names into one column. Like for example, cherry, which months have we done sold cherries? So to do that, I will just reference the initial query. Just going to make a few modifications to not reference, sorry, I'll actually duplicate it. because I want the steps to show. So I'll just name this combined. I don't want the pivoting feature. I just want to now group this. So I would do the similar way of grouping which I've done here, but I won't do it here because I have used the second step, the following step, to sort it out, and I have removed that column, so I'll just let it be as it is. I'll go to transform, I'll click on group, and click on names. I want to group by names. I'll add a group and select merge, and I want to sum my sales. So what I'm going to do here is going to go to my advanced editor. I can do the change here to add the text combine column. It's a bit easier. So as I mentioned before, the last step is to group the rows, and as you can see, it's saying merge, have names and merged here, which are the first two here, and then it's saying to calculate the sales, and for each sales row, sum up the sales. So I wanted to combine the texts of each of the merged columns, rows. So I would simply move the merged to the other side of the curly brackets, and I would follow the same pattern of the previous command of sales and say merged each, and use a command called Text.Combine. Combine, bracket, and I would use the box braces and say merged. You have to be careful here to make sure you're case sensitive, because queries are case sensitive, and in the Text.Combine you would have to ask Teddy to how to separate it out. So I'm going to say a space and a comma. I will close that bracket, type a comma, and say text type. So I'm specifying what type of data it is, and I would close it with the curly brackets because I had one here. So just to double check, merge, I'll actually call it month instead of merge, month, each combined, Text.Combine merge, which is the column, separated by a space and a comma, convert it to a text type. So this is wrong, it should be simple T, and we have the sales part each. Let's show an error, and it should be type text, not text type. Yeah, and so next error saying parenthesis is open, because I had to have a curly bracket in front of that as well. So now I say OK, and now we have for every single month grouped text of the months and the total sales value of cherries for that duration. So we just go back and save and close, and a new table opened up, and there you go, a table with combined text. So that's it for this tutorial. I hope you like the content. So please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.